Hello, it's Denise of the Potting Shed, and this episode is all about getting your tomatoes over the line in September. You want to get as many of them ripe and lush as possible. Once your tomato gets to this stage, not quite ripe but almost there, pick it off. Find a nice spot. I've got my plastic chair, it could be a tray. Just pile them up and leave them there for a day or two, and they'll ripen up beautifully. Tip number 2 is to strip off most of your leaves. They've done their job now. These aren't growing anything now. Anything they produce is going to be teeny tiny, and it's just sucking the goodness out of the plant. So anything like this needs to come off. You want all of the energy to go into ripening your lush green tomatoes. So go in from the bottom up and take anything that's growing. Side shoots we've been taking out all season, but keep an eye on them. You can leave a little bit of leaf if you really want to, but they're really not doing any good at this stage of the game. So basically you've got to turn your tomato vines into skeletons. Take off anything that's nearly ripe and take off any of those buds that aren't going to make fruit. We're now in the polytunnel, and top of my list today is to go around and remove more of the leaves in here. So that vine, you can see, doesn't have a single leaf on it, but it's only got a handful of tomatoes left, so it doesn't need any leaves. These small tomatoes aren't going to get any bigger, and there's not an awful lot you can do with a tomato that size. No point growing it on, so I'll take those off. Got a beautiful bunch of tomatoes ripening down there, but up here we've got an awful lot of buds that are trying to produce tomatoes. The plant's going to be pushing a lot of energy to these, so these need to come off. Similar story down here. That's not going to do anything. These, on the other hand, are chocolate cherry tomatoes. They're viable. Key reason to get rid of the leaves is blight. If you're new to growing tomatoes, you're yet to see it maybe, and if you're an experienced tomato grower, you'll know what I'm talking about. Blight will attack leaves, stem and tomatoes, and it's the tomatoes we're trying to protect. The fewer leaves we have on the plant, the less likelihood that the blight will get to the tomatoes before they've ripened. One of the key ways of keeping blight at bay is to get as much heat, warmth and light to the vine and the tomatoes as possible. Blight likes dark, dim, damp, humid conditions. At this time of the year, we might still be getting a lot of heat, but the nighttime temperatures are dropping down. So you've got that humidity left in the air from the heat of the day, but the cool temperatures at night, and that is when blight really sets in. Also, it's a good idea to get your glass as clean and sparkly as possible. I did the outside of my windows yesterday, and hopefully I'll get round to doing the inside today. I'm trying to capture as much of that light as possible. Number 3, cut down on the watering. They don't need much now, just enough to keep the plants alive. And that's going to encourage those tomatoes to ripen. Well, there you go. 3 cracking tips to get those tomatoes over the line. Till next time, take care.